Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you're watching. Welcome to Space Scotland. Space Scotland Live at that. Or is it? We'll come back to that later. So, thank you all for joining. And today, before I start, I want to give a moment to send our thoughts and our best wishes to those that are suffering with the flooding that's going on in Germany and Belgium right now. I know there are members of the space community, including Felix, that you may know from the show What About It, that are badly affected by it. I know Felix and his family are safe. He's been tweeting and raising money for it, but it's still devastating and lots of people have lost their lives. So thoughts and well wishes from us go to them. So today we are talking about Scottish rockets, and you asked for this. Well, you chose it in a Twitter poll early on this week. So I could quite easily just say there's no such thing as Scottish rockets and end the stream. But who's going to lose out? Me. So we're going to talk about two Scottish-based rocket manufacturers, one being Skyrora and the other being Orbx. Um, and I was going to pull in nice graphics from their website, but Skyrora actually have an impressive website. And why have a dog and bark? So um, I will just pull up the website, which is the easiest thing. And hello to Felix. Obviously not Felix from Y, but Felix from Spacetime. So hi there, Felix. So if you give me a moment, I will pull up. So Skyrora, they're based in Edinburgh in Scotland. They are, I think they're about 5 years old, maybe a bit longer, uh, but they have some impressive rockets. Some of them are proof of concept, some are prototypes, some are just tests. Some, as you'll see when we go through it, are very small and some are big. Um, Now, I'm not going to read every single word on this page. It's a public website. You can go and have a read yourself. I'm just going to pull out the exciting bits, the interesting bits, and we will get into that shortly. So, the first one that they have, they call their Skylark Nano. And if I just pull up the stats here, I'm assuming you can all see it fine. So, Skylark Nano is a single stage, tiny little rocket. When I say tiny, it's just under 2.5 meters, but it can only carry up to 1 kilogram of payload. So it's for small things, small experiments. And when you look at its flight profile, it can only go up to 17,000 feet in 5 seconds, I might add. Total, the apogee is actually 30 seconds, but the engine actually runs for five. So it's small. It would measure something like winds or atmospheric conditions, mainly something for universities or scientists. It's very dedicated. I wouldn't really call it space because it's certainly not going anywhere near space. So that is their Skylark Nano, and they do have different varieties. And I'll just put up the next one for you. So the next one is their Skylark Micro. And again, similar concept when it actually loads up. Here we go. Except this is a two-stage rocket. You can see two separate stages here. Again, it's for a rocket, it's small. It's just over 3 meters. Again, payload is only up to 1 kilometer, so very small payload. Excuse me while I have a good drink here. Only up to 1 kilogram. And again, I do believe it says up here Yeah, so it's for testing high G forces, and has a rocket tests thermal protection, stuff like that. So again, even says there for educational purposes to test its atmosphere. So it's very specialist, not something you would be launching satellites with. Its apogee, as we see, it doesn't actually say actually, but it would be vastly higher than 17,000 feet, but not not going into space. That's for sure. So we'll just get the next one up. Okay, the next one confused me, and I was kicking myself when I realized what I was saying. It took me weeks to work out the name of this, and I was saying ski, whatever. It's sky high, obviously, sky high. I was really annoyed with myself, and it's a mixture of Skyrora hybrid sky high. Very clever name. Again, it's two stage. Confused me by the name, but it's obvious now. And this can take up to a whopping 2 kilograms of payload, but there's something different. So it's nearly 6.5 meters, can take up to 2 kilograms, but look at its apogee. It can go up to 106,000 meters, so 106 kilometers with 2 kilograms. So that could launch small CubeSats if it was configured in that way. So absolutely amazing website from Skyrora. The data they've got in here, if that tickles your fancy, which it does to me, not to everyone, I understand. Um, Again, I mean, it says there, it'll investigate Earth's magnetic field. So again, for scientists, for universities, very, very specialist, but it is technology that is there. So we'll go and get the next one. Now we're starting to get into their bigger rockets. So these are the ones that they're actually designing that are for paying commercial customers or along those lines. So the next one is Skylark L, L meaning large, and I know that because their next one, as you can see, they actually mentioned here, is Skyrora XL. So this is Skylark Large, and then they've got their Skyrora XL. And this is a big one in terms of Scottish-based rockets. It's not going to be comparable to the 70-meter Falcon 9s that SpaceX are launching. It's 10 meters. It can get to 102 kilometers, so slightly lower than the smaller last one, but this can take 50 kilograms into orbit, whereas the last one only took 2 kilograms into orbit. So this is a biggie. But again, this is a proof of concept for their next rocket. And I have to point out on this, as you can see in this website there, they are 3D printing the engine parts. And that is the future of rocketry. It has to be. It's such a good process, efficient. Um, it's not like Orbex that I'll talk about in a wee minute. And those of you that saw my trip to Space Hub Sutherland, you will know that Orbex are 3D printing the rocket itself. Skyrora are 3D printing the engine parts. So it's a step in the right direction, but still such an amazing technology and well worth it. And I've not been sponsored or had any communication with Skyrora, but I will say their merchandise store is fantastic. I've got a few things from them, keyrings and stickers and metal pins. So um, Skyrora, if you want to sponsor me, I'm well up for it. but I've not been sponsored on this occasion. That is just my input. If you like space merch, then have a look at Skyrora store. So the next Skyrora. Now this rocket is their biggie. This is going to be their flagship rocket. It has received funding from the government. Now, I'm going to retract that statement. I don't actually know it's the UK government that have given them money. I do know they got 2.5 million. It may be from European Space Agency. It may be UK government. I can't remember. So all I'm going to say is Skyrora acquired 2.5 million for research and development of their beast of a Skyrora XL rocket. And if you look at this, she is a three-stage rocket. She has 9 engines at the bottom called Skyforce. Again, the second stage has a single Skyforce engine, and then the third stage has a tiny little low Earth orbit propulsion engine. It is magnificent. I would love to see it in person. I would love to see it launch. She is just under 22, 23 meters, 2.2 meters wide, and will take a payload of up to 315 kilograms. I would love to see it go. I'm not too keen on the kerosene fuel, to be honest, um, but it will put objects into 500-kilometer orbits. So absolutely for communication, for um, Earth monitoring, satellites, that kind of thing. And it will launch here. I haven't confirmed, and I can't find it in here, if they will launch from Sutherland. I don't know where their launch platform will be for this. I absolutely hope and pray it's Space Hub Sutherland. It may be Spaceport Saxe Vord in Shetland, but I want to see it. It is magnificent. So, the question of the day today is, should Scotland build larger rockets? Should we be trying to launch humans or larger items such as this? Should we just give up on the tiny little 1 kilogram payloads and go straight for the 300 kilogram payloads? So let me know what you think in the chat. What have we got here? Okay, yes, so we'll do a Q&A later. If you have any questions later, pop it into chat. I'm starting to lose things here. So, okay, so the next company I'm going to talk about is Orbex. Again, if you watch the Space Hub Sutherland trip that I did, Orbex will be launching from up north of Scotland anyway. With this, their Orbex Prime, it's 19 meters high, 1.3 meters wide, and is nearly all 3D printed. I don't know which parts are not printed. They may 100% print everything, but it is fantastic. It uses clean fuel. It's reusable. Well, parts of it are reusable. And absolutely have a look on their website if you want to know what they're doing. Again, 3D printed engines, but they are 3D printing the actual rocket part itself. And it'll go into polar orbits, which again, if you want to know more about, look at my last video on the Space Hub Sutherland. So, absolutely amazing rocket. We don't know much more about it. There's not been much news. I've checked their news section recently. I've followed them on social media. There's not much news coming out about it, but no news is good news in my opinion, and I reckon they're just cracking on and building and developing and refining the process. So I have messaged them. I have asked if I can go and visit, take photos. So we'll see if we get anything back. And I will absolutely be at Space Hub Sutherland when it launches, and I will be streaming that right on here. So those are the two Scottish rocket companies. However, I only noticed last night, or I only found out last night, that Glasgow in Scotland creates more satellites than anywhere else in the world outside of Houston, Texas. And that absolutely blew me away last night. Um, Russia and China, they're always putting rockets up. And to think that Glasgow creates more is unbelievable. And so I did a bit more research, and one of the companies that are doing that is a company called Alba Orbital. And this is their lovely wee website. They're obviously being sponsored a lot. And they are creating what they're calling a pocket cube satellite, or space for the pocket cube satellite. They have little pods that you can buy for your satellite if you're creating, for a school project, for university or science. Um, and they're creating this thing here. But if you keep going down, you'll notice they're all launching on Falcon 9. Let me just go a bit bigger. They have slots on SpaceX Falcon 9s right through 2022, and they're going to 500 to 600 kilometer sun synchronized orbit. So they're legit. They are um, they're a Scottish company that are flying kit on Falcon 9s out of Florida, and that blew my mind. I've heard about Alba Orbital. I am following them on social media, but I have to put my hand up and say that I didn't look into them until last night, and it's just this is in Scotland, this is in Glasgow, this isn't Florida, this isn't Texas, um, but they're doing it, and as you can see, it doesn't really say what 1P means, or 2P or 3P. I'm assuming that means pods, or slots in their pod. So I'm going to assume at the moment it's 1P is one pod, and that'll cost you €25,000. I'm assuming that's that's just for the space on the pod. You've got to pay for your own satellite development, obviously, but that absolutely blew me away, and it's fantastic that this is happening right here in Scotland. So, um, again, the question of the day to put in the comments and chat if you wish is: should Scotland build larger rockets? I don't have there's no wrong or right answer for that. We can't really launch humans from Scotland. We're not in the right inclination on the planet. That leave that for Florida, that kind of area around the equator. Yeah, Russia can do it and China can do it, but again, they do it from, well, China's kind of equatorial anyway, and Russia launches them from Kazakhstan. So again, that's further south than we are. So I don't think we'll be launching maybe point to point. We could maybe have something like that from Aberdeen to New York City in 30 minutes. That would be nice. So I will do a Q&A now. If there are any questions, you can pop them in chat. Okay. I'm seeing one from Astrals. It's not popped into my little live chat replay thing I've got here. So I'm seeing it on another page. So Astral is my favorite future astronaut. No sponsorship between the two of us. It's just Astral is. Love your content. Love your missions. Just get that sticker on the moon, okay? Um, so Astral is put on here. The other awesome Felix, absolutely. And it's going to be awesome to watch that launch. We'll have to get you there so you can do a live stream. Absolutely. I will go anywhere in Scotland for a rocket launch because it is right here. It's not Florida, it's right here. Um, it's a bit of a trek. It is a drive. It's tiny compared to America, I know, but this is what we deal with. But I will be there, absolutely. Astral is. Um, and for those of you who don't know, Astro Liz's team did the graphics that I have here on the page, the channel, and I'm eternally grateful for that. But we might have to change it, and I'll talk about that in just a little minute. So there is another comment from the Gruffalo's child, or the Gruffalo's Wain, or Bairn, as it is in Scotland. It would definitely be cool to see bigger rockets out of Scotland in the future, especially if parts can be 3D printed. Absolutely. I am a huge fan of 3D printing. I don't know how to do it. I've never seen it done in person. I've watched YouTube videos. But 3D printing a rocket and then firing it from Scotland is just top of the list for me. I am very keen on clean fuels as well. So um, Orbex are using um, liquid oxygen and refined Calor gas. Calor gas are actually supplying the fuel, and it's 90% cleaner than normal rockets. I don't think there'll be a time anytime soon where it'll be 100% clean. There are ones that use methane and liquid oxygen, and it's basically just clouds of water that they're spewing out, but there's still some particles in there. So um, the next phase of rocket engines looks like nuclear, and I'm really not keen. I understand the benefits of it in space, but if something goes wrong with that rocket before it gets into orbit, mm, I'm really not keen on that. Um, there will be people that understand it better than I, absolutely. So we'll see how we get on. I think electric could be a thing, but what's the exhaust? What's pushing it out is the problem there. Um, Astro Liz, I'll see what I can do to get you to the moon someday. You can do the first live feed. Can you imagine? I I'm a big fan of the whole SpaceX Starship go to Mars, and I don't know if it's just a billionaire's pipe dream by Elon Musk, but I follow the Starship development in Texas every day, and I pray that I'm here long enough to see summer holidays to Mars. Excuse me. Maybe my children or grandchildren will see it. Um, Live streaming for the moon, that'd be cool. I mean, that's closer than Mars. Um, for those of you that are my age or older, there used to be a program in the UK called Tomorrow's World, and that used to say, you'd have flying cars by the year 2000 and you'd be living on the moon. But here we are, still on the surface. So, Gruffalo's child, who knew there was a 3D printed rocket engine anyway? Learned something new today. Me too. Um, I don't know how efficient it's going to be. I don't know what materials it's made out of, so I do want to see it. I do want to research it more. I want to know, does it feel metallic? Does it feel plastic? How hot can it handle? Again, it's early technology. It will get better over time, but um, I'm all for it. Absolutely. Um, yeah. Okay. So I think that's the bottom of the question so far. I'm going to talk about Space Scotland. So there are two Space Scotlands on YouTube, and I didn't know that when I set up the channel. But the other one, they've not said anything bad. They've not asked me to shut down. They just made me aware of their existence, and I think now at the time when the channel is just starting would be a good time to rebrand before it gets too big. Fingers crossed, obviously. Um, so I would like comments and suggestions of what I could rename the channel. Um, I would like to keep it kind of Scottish based because I'm here. I did think of Alba, which is Alba Orbital have that name. Alba is the old Scottish Gaelic name for Scotland. It used to be called Alba. But there's a bit of political disagreements with the word Alba right now, and people internationally won't know what Alba was, whereas people know what Space Scotland is. So I'm looking for names that would suit the channel that maybe keep the Scottish theme, but I'm not set in stone on that. Um, so, comments and suggestions on a new name for the channel, and I will put it to a poll on Twitter in the next couple of days, and we will see how we get on. So it could be just something like Space Above Scotland, or Scotland Space, or Scotland Skies, or something creative. And that's where I need your help. So, if there's not any more questions, then I will end the stream shortly. I think I've covered everyone. Um, yeah, so question of the day again, so you can pop it into comments if you're watching this later on, is should Scotland build larger rockets? Um, I will put one last comment into that. Um, I just saw a very interesting comment by Astraliz. I'll get to that in a minute. Rockets. My last opinion on Scottish rockets. I'm all for them being bigger, but not too big. I'm thinking more of more CubeSats, more scientific equipment, more educational equipment to get into polar orbits. We're not going to be launching humans. We're not going to be launching red Teslas into a Mars orbit. Um, so I think we can have something bigger, something like the Skylark Large or the Skyrora XL, big, 10, 20 meters, but not massive. So Astroliz, I'll give this last comment to Astroliz before I end the show. Maybe you could just change it slightly, like Spaceflight Scotland or Space Coast Scotland. Ooh, definitely do a Twitter poll. Astroliz and your team, absolutely fantastic ideas yet again from the Astraliz team. Spaceflight Scotland, I'm liking that. Okay, I will put a poll out on Twitter. If you are not following me on Twitter, then why not? On Twitter, it's at Space Scotland _, and we will see in the next couple of days. So thank you very much for joining. I will do another live stream next week. We'll probably do it on the spaceports themselves, and it'll be the same time, maybe with a different name. So keep an eye on Twitter. Thank you very much for all your support and all your retweets and everything else. If you're watching this live, thank you so much for your support. If you're watching this back later, thank you so much for your support. So take care, everyone, and have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.